That's why I got an automotive.
That's okay. That is the story we need to talk about.
Yeah.
I'm serious because that opens a whole world of questions that I have that are very important. How did you... Okay. Say, I was going to wing this and we're winging this now. We're going to... So, okay. So tell... My audience has no idea who you are. We need to talk about that.
All right, let's do it. Hey, everybody. I'm Christine Gago. I'm with Demand Local, and I'm here with my friend Josh.
My idea of what was going to happen is out the window because I found something better. So we got talking about the new rig. So you guys are watching this on the new rig, and I'm very proud of it. I'm very happy that I got it because it's made my life a whole lot easier for video. And
Very
you
nice.
could have already seen that the quality of the video is better. You were a wedding photographer
I was. Yes.
in Boston,
I was.
and you now live in Florida.
I do.
Why?
So, any true person that's creative and in this industry knows you can't just stay in one industry. You gotta try things out when you're young. And when I was in school, I studied advertising, but I also studied art. And part of art was photography. And when I moved to Boston, I had brand new opportunities, clean slate. Had the opportunity. I saw a job offering on Craigslist, believe it or not, for a high-profile wedding photographer and marketing. And I applied, and I got it. And so I was shooting high-profile weddings in Boston, doing their wedding, got them published in some very high-profile magazines and websites. And it was really great. It was really great. And I enjoyed it. And when I decided to leave Boston, ended up moving back to Florida, it didn't quite translate. The wedding industry in Central Florida is just not quite where it is in Boston. And then that's how I got an auto.
So I've been trying to tell you guys for ages. What you start with doesn't necessarily mean what you finish with.
Absolutely not.
And definitely doesn't have to be what is happening in the middle.
Yeah.
There are skills that we learn in everything that we do.
Right.
Photography and videography is a completely different set of skills, even though it is labor, hands-on, and with a tool of some description, just like I've spent the first 20 years of my life.
Right.
Working with tools, working with, like, all of the things that, as a mechanic, it's essentially the same thing, but it's completely different. One of the skills that you learn in photography that you're now applying in consulting in marketing.
So let me ask you, is it really that different? You receive leads
Yes.
from potential customers.
Yes.
You meet with them.
Yes.
You figure out what their issues are, what their dreams or their goals, what they're trying to achieve. They're looking to make a rather large purchase, so you're trying to emotionally connect with them and see how you can solve their needs and ultimately work with them. So it is a sales process, it's customer service, and ultimately you are doing a service for them. It's really not that different if you think about it.
She's right. I don't like it when I'm not right. Take me one step further.
Okay.
Be very granular. I like how you put through that. That makes sense, but be granular. When you're helping dealers grow their marketing or start marketing or refining a process within their marketing, what's the first thing that you do with them like you did in photography?
So when I'm sitting down with the dealer, they usually have a set of problems that they're looking to resolve, or a lot of times is low website traffic or not very great lead quality, or they're just not making the sales that they need to, low sales. So they come to me and they say, all right, Christine, what do I need to do? And I sit down, I'm like, all right, put down on the table, what exactly are you doing? And let's go through everything one by one. Are they talking to each other? Are they communicating with each other? If they're not, how can we work together, you know, as a team in order to achieve your goal? Because collaboration is key, and unifying everything together so everything's talking together and working together. The same goes with the photography. You're working with a photographer, a wedding planner, a florist, a venue. everybody has to be talking together in order for the ultimate goal, which is a wedding to go off without a hitch. Same way.
Even though the goal is to get hitched.
The goal is to get hitched, yes. But yes.
I thought it was funny.
Great dad joke. I like it. But essentially, that's what we're doing with digital media is everything needs to be talking to each other, working together, ultimately making sure that you're not competing against each other. You're utilizing your ad dollars correctly in order to get better lead quality, in order to get a lower cost per lead. You're selling cars and you're selling them to the people who are interested in the right time in the right place. And they're coming to you and not the guy down the street. So
two things to that point. So because I am not a variable person, I've spent 20 years of my life in fixed. I get to be at this conference, which is mostly variable based. There is fixed. There is lots of fixed content.
I heard a little fixed here, yeah.
It's growing. But because I'm a little bit ignorant to variable, I get to consume it and I feel like a sponge. So a few minutes ago on the main stage, Ryan Rohrman was talking about how he experienced a recent conversation he was having where a particular manufacturer said that 15% of the people who fill out a lead form on a website for a car, like, I'm interested in this car, here's my information.
Yeah.
15% of those people finish. Which means 85% of people are filling that out, are starting to fill out that information, but don't complete.
Right. Correct.
So when we're talking about everybody talking to each other, what part of something not talking to something does that perhaps, what is that about? Is there one thing that you would say it's most likely to be, not necessarily all the time, but is there one thing that is most likely to be the case? Why 85% of people are not filling that out?
It's because shoppers don't shop linearly. It's not a situation where you click an ad, you go to the website, you fill out a form, you get in your car, and you buy the car. It doesn't work that way. I'm sure dealers would love that, but unfortunately, it just does not work that way. For example, I was telling Shasta this back at NADA. I was targeted with a Chick-fil-A commercial while I was watching Disney Plus with my children. We were watching a Marvel movie, and I'm not gonna lie, I was intrigued. I wanted that sandwich, and I didn't go on their website. I didn't fill out a lead form. I did not pick up the phone and call the store. Next time I was out in town with my kids, and I said, "Hey kids, do you want to go grab lunch?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Great, we're going to Chick-fil-A." I walked in, I bought that same sandwich that I saw in the commercial. That's similarly how shoppers shop for vehicles. I heard earlier today that it takes 52 impressions in order to get a conversion on a website, meaning I'm going to have to see 52 times a message before in my brain that I am ready to make that conversion or submit some sort of communication to the dealer. And so that's why it's so crucial for everything to be talking together, because you want to make sure those 52 times are unified.
And it's not saying the same thing. It's the goal is to say the same thing at the bottom.
Right.
But you want to have top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of the funnel. That way when people watch the top and don't watch anything else that's fed, they're not in the they might be looking. They might be looking. They might be thinking about it. But in all likelihood, they're definitely not buy today. If they watch the middle and medium of the funnel, they're probably going to buy somewhat soon-ish. But soon could be like a year.
It really could be. It could be anywhere from 3 months to 6 months to, like you said, it could take up to a year.
Right. It took us a year to buy our Camry.
It took me almost a year to just buy the vehicle I just bought. I just bought a Honda Odyssey. Shameless plug there, but yeah.
That's okay, because it's a swagger wagon. It's
exactly. You know what? I'm loving it.
So, 52. Okay, I did not realize it was that much. I knew it was a lot, but I didn't realize it was that much. So let's step into service.
Right.
If we use that same mindset, it might be a little bit different because we're not talking about buying a $20,000, $30,000, $50,000, $80,000 car. We're talking about a $50, $200, maybe $1,000 bill that's potentially weighing on the customer's mind.
It is.
So it's still trying to get people to understand who you are, what you do, what you represent, what values your store, your brand, your business has.
Right.
It's still trying to show people that when you come to this store, that we are going to provide as much value to you for what you pay for as humanly possible. How, in your experience, have you helped, let's say one, if you can give me an example.
Yeah.
One store, sales or service, preferably service if you've got a service story.
I get that, yeah.
How do you refine their processes so everybody's talking to each other?
Yeah, most definitely. So for service, like you said, it's a little bit different. A lot of times when I'm hearing dealers, the issue that they're having is, hey, they bought a car from me, but they're not coming to get service from me. So it's ensuring that even though those prospects purchased a car from you, are you still talking to them? Are you still nurturing them? Are you still sending them reminders of like, hey, you may have bought from me, but do you remember I can still service your car and you're coming to the best place possible. And so it's just continuously servicing that message. So when they are ready to get their car serviced, they think of you. And a lot of times, I mean, guilty as charged. A lot of times you forget. I mean, we're busy. We're moms, we're dads, we're entrepreneurs, we're dealers, we're a bunch of different things, right? We forget to get our car serviced. Being on top of it and using great communication skills and reminding your customers that when it's time to get serviced, people are going to appreciate that and they're going to go and they're going to book with you.
So from that end, and I think the follow-up in that process is vital.
Yeah.
The challenge is, and I am impatient and I don't like constant calls and emails because I find that there's only two categories of people.
Right.
Or businesses for that matter. There are those who will follow up until the end of the earth. It will be like 5 emails a day, 3 text messages a day, a call a day, every day for like 3 weeks.
Right.
And it's literally like, take me off the call list. I never want to see you or talk to you again because it's too much.
Right.
I appreciate the first call. I even appreciate maybe the second call a couple of days later. But 16 in a time frame of like a week, pass.
Right.
Hard pass. The
I
flip
get it.
side is, that is 1 in like 20.
Right.
Maybe. The rest of them seemingly do nothing.
Right.
So when you go into a system or a series of systems, because there's a lot of different sales enablement, engagement tools at the fingertips of a sales manager to try and facilitate car sales from marketing and all the way through the whole pipeline, there isn't that same level of technology processes so far that I can understand for service. So how do you navigate those two? Because sales has all of these awesome tools, service kinda does. How do you navigate that when there's seemingly a lack?
There are some tools that are out there that seem to be really working well for service. When you're utilizing, like I said, that data that you have that's stored, I mean, honestly, what's in your CRM and your DMS, that's gold, right? Those are people that have shown interest or purchased from you, right? A lot of times, those people, if they have a car, they're going to need service. Nurturing them, being there when they're ready. And like you said, maybe you don't want to have 17 back-to-back phone calls. I get annoyed too. So gently nudge by showing them a CTV ad, showing them a display ad, be on there on social media. So at least in the back of their mind, they're seeing your message. So when they are ready, they come to you. And then you can even go as far as gently nudging them with a text message that says something along the lines of, hey, I noticed that you're ready for an oil change. Would you like me to schedule that for you? I find that way less intrusive than my phone blowing up from the dealership because you never know what that's going to be.
Now, to that point, how do you get into the weeds of creating the creative for dealerships to send those? When you're talking about CTV ads, you're talking about sending text messages, emails, reminders, and things like that. Do you get into the weeds of doing that creative for dealers, or do you help a creative department or a creative agency? Are you like that go-between for the dealer?
Yeah, so that kind of goes back to what we were talking about originally, is that working together ultimately to create the ultimate goal. So teamwork makes the dream work. I work with designers that actually help me ultimately deliver that message and create those creatives. So I don't personally create the creatives myself, but let's say you came to me and you said, all right, Christine, I want a Facebook ad, I want a programmatic display ad, and I want a CTV ad. Great. I'm going to bundle it all together for you. I'm going to take all that pressure off of you, and I'm going to work on the back end and collaborate and huddle with all the team and say, all right, you do this, you do this, you do this. Break. That's working smarter, not harder, and ultimately getting you all the things you need without having to worry about stressing out about that.
Cool. So from a service manager who's never had to deal with marketing before,
right?
You basically are operating, whether it's a service manager or a sales manager, you're basically operating like a third-party marketing department,
right,
for them. It's like, I am. So you're also going to be working with them to try and figure out. They're going to say, "I want this and I want this." Is the first question that you're going to actually ask is why?
Why?
Why do you want these
goal?
things? Why do you like? Just be, you've got 100 leads, and last month that you answered 5.
Exactly.
You don't need more leads. We're sending you good leads right now. We know they're good leads because on the sales side, they're closing 35%.
Right.
And right now in service, you had 100 leads last month, and looks like you responded to 5 of them.
Exactly.
How can I help you facilitate either a BDC or a person? How can I help you through that process so you actually answer the leads that you're getting?
Exactly.
Okay, awesome. Because that was one of the big challenges I had when I came off the bench, when I came out of the desk, and my first time leading a store, I was thrust in having to deal with marketing for the first time. I had no idea what to do. I had no idea what to say. I knew it existed.
Right.
But we're going back a few years. I'm getting old. It's going back a few years, but it hasn't changed. The point is understanding what you need to know.
Right.
And sometimes, and I say this regularly, you have to be comfortable enough to say, I don't understand, I need help. It's okay to be a service manager and not know the answer to a marketing question.
And it's also meeting people where they're at. If you're working with a group of people who may not know the right questions to ask, it's saying, hey, let's break it down even further. Let's talk about scenario A, B, and C. Which one of these fit your case? Mm-hmm. Create a marketing plan based off of that. Make it as stress-free as possible so they ultimately get to their goal without wanting to yank their hair out, because it can be stressful.
I don't have a whole lot left. That's why I'm wearing the hat. I get it. It's hard. So a couple of things you guys can take away is ask questions. Be open to different situations, scenarios that you didn't expect when it comes to creating marketing for service. Make sure you ask lots of questions in people who are actively in marketing and doing marketing, whether it's for sales or for service, because whilst sales and service differ in marketing tactics, overall the goal is the same, is to get people into the store so you can sell them something effectively. Now, there's a whole lot of philosophy around there. You want them to want to buy and so on and so forth, but that's a different story altogether. That's not marketing. You want marketing to bring people into the store so you can now interact face to face.
Correct.
That is the goal of marketing.
Absolutely.
Because once they're into the service drive, or once they're on the sales floor, now it's the salespeople's ability to handle objections, their ability to curate relationships, short, medium, and long term, so that you keep the people that you spent all that time, energy, and money getting them there in the first place.
Exactly.
Okay, same. I asked this question of every guest that I've ever interviewed.
All right, hit me.
What is your one piece of advice for a technician to help them be happier, healthier, and more productive tomorrow?
Ooh, that's a good one. I need Enrique here for that one. Yeah, if I had one piece of advice to be
happier, healthier, more productive tomorrow.
Take a vacation, relax, take everything one step at a time, realize you're one person, ask for help, ask questions, and just, like I said, take every day one step at a time.
Marvelous.
Yeah.
And what's one thing that you've learned today from ASOTUCON?
One thing that I've learned today, it actually kind of goes in line with what I just said. I had went to the WOCAN breakfast this morning and learned a little bit from Christy Rutherford about burnout, actually, and learning how to look within in order to be strong and to be able to set healthy boundaries and do your best at work so that you take care of yourself so you can be your best when you do arrive at work. And so for not only for work, but your family, your friends, everybody.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. It's a pleasure, Christine.
Thank you.
We finally got to do. We've been trying to do this several times. We finally got to do this.
My gosh.
We're here. ASOTUCON 2025. Yes. Thank you very much, Christine. Folks, remember, negative pushes, positive pulls, and always clean your toys before you put them away.
Thanks.
Thank you
Appreciate
so much.
it.